A very, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Martha Ngoko from Marketing Office at Times Tower. We are just about to begin our engagement, so please give us just the next 2 minutes. But before we do this, I would like to test some audio for Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert Langat, please unmute yourself and tell me if you can hear me.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. We are just about to go to begin this engagement, and we'll be live on KRA TV. And also just to remind us to call on our friends or even colleagues for them to be able to log in to this engagement. Our moderator, Madam Immaculate Jeru, I know you're on the call. We are waiting for just some settings to be sorted out for Mr. Joachim Mwawasi. But in the meantime, I think we can just take a prayer and then we begin this engagement. So allow me to pray. Almighty and Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning. We are grateful for your goodness. Thank you for the gift of life. We are just about to roll out a conversation on customs facilitating trade. Therefore, Lord, we speak that we ask your guidance that you go ahead of us when as we get to do this engagement and conversation, and let us have a good interaction, and we ask of your presence to be with us. We pray this shortly, trusting and believing in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martha. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this conversation. Today we'll be talking about customs in trade facilitation. And as you well know, customs has a number of roles which are well known to you. And these include revenue collection, which is known to many as a key role of customs, but there are many more which are equally important, which include collection of trade statistics, enforcement of laws and regulations so as to protect the society, as well as the one that we are talking about today, which is trade facilitation. With us today are two panelists who will be walking us through this journey of trade facilitation in customs. And I'll start with one of the panelists, Mr. Gilbert Lagat, who has joined us today. Mr. Lagat is currently at the Shippers Council of Eastern Africa, where he serves as the CEO, and is the chair of the Mombasa Port and Northern Corridor Community Charter. He has been a board and member of National Standards Council and chair, Technical Trade and Permits Approval Committee of the Board of Kenya Bureau of Standards. He is also a board member of the Kenya National Highways Authority, that is Kenya Trade Work Network Agency, KenTrade, member of the Executive Committee and Board of Northern Corridor Transport Coordination Authority. He's a member of the Railway Consultation Committee, member of the Chief Executives Forum, the National Business Agenda member, Board of Governors, Railways Training Institute, and he serves in several sector committees nationally and in East Africa. Mr. Langat is the founding head of the Shippers Council, and he is responsible for driving the advocacy of cargo owner issues relating to transport and logistics in the country and the Northern Corridor. Through his leadership, the Shippers Council of Eastern Africa has grown into a respectable transport and logistics advocacy organization with regional presence. And above that, Mr. Langat has solid experience in logistics and trade facilitation lobbying and advocacy with competence in cross-border trade facilitation, transit, and customs clearance. He has been involved in task forces in customs documentation, port systems evaluation, community-based system development and system automation, technical committees on shipping, and lead expert in the development of regional customs agents curriculum. He has participated in various committees reviewing border clearance, including the very famous one-stop border posts. And I am glad to welcome Mr. Gilbert Langat to this conversation.
Thank you, Immaculate.
Thank you, Mr. Langat. Welcome. Second, we have our panelist, very own from the Kenya Revenue Authority, Mr. Joachim Mwasi. Mr. Mwasi currently serves as the Manager, Taxpayer Services within Trade Facilitation Division of Kenya Revenue Authority, Customs and Border Control Department. Mr. Mwasi has previously worked at the Busia and Isibania one-stop border posts, Petroleum Monitoring Unit, both in Nairobi and Mombasa, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. He worked in exemptions and cargo sheds, and also at Pepe Inland Container Depot and Kencon Container Freight Stations. Mr. Mwasi has chaired 2 border committees and co-chaired 2 joint border operations committees at Busia and Isibania borders. He has contributed to the development of multi-agency standard operating procedures to aid in trade facilitation at the points of entry. He's also a trained quality management system lead auditor and has participated in ensuring that KRA adheres to the requirements of ISO 9001-2015 quality standards as one of the QMS champions. Mr. Mwasi, welcome to the talk show.
Thank you very much, Immaculate. I'm honored to be in this panel.
Thank you, Mr. Mwasi. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great conversation this morning, and we are focusing on this very important role of trade facilitation. And I'm sure many of you are aware that this cuts across the globe under the WTO TFA trade facilitation. So we'll be going through this discussion to understand the responsibility of customs in trade facilitation. And we'll also get to understand the challenges that business is going through today as they do the clearance of cargo in import and export. And beside that, we look at technology. What role does technology play in trade facilitation? What about security? How do we balance security and trade, even as we do trade facilitation? And how do we ensure transparency and communication? We'll also be looking at the small-scale traders, that is the medium-sized enterprises, that is SMEs. And beside that, we look at public perception. How does the public view customs in this area of trade facilitation? Ladies and gentlemen, I will start off with the key responsibilities and duties of customs. To Mr. Mwasi, kindly explain the responsibilities and duties of customs authorities in ensuring smooth cross-border trade. Over to you, Mr. Mwasi.
Thank you very much, Immaculate. In talking about the key responsibilities and duties of customs in ensuring smooth cross-border trade, my mind takes me back to your introduction, where you were talking about the key roles of customs, and you mentioned that in regard to today's webinar, we are talking about the role of trade facilitation, but we also have those other roles of national security, collection of revenue, and the others. With regard to this particular question, we have a number of key roles. We have very many key roles and responsibilities, but at this time, I'll talk about a few Number one, I will talk about the key role and responsibility to ensure that we educate our key stakeholders, be it clearing agents, be it importers, on the key regulations and processes so that they are able to do their business while they know in terms of knowledge. So, and these are people who play a key role, like the clearing agents. We have our members, shippers, the shippers where we have the importers are included there. Yeah. So we need to educate them. We need to ensure we work with them hand in hand so that they are able to know the regulations and the processes. But apart from that, I think it is also key that we also ensure that we allow electronic submission and processing of information. In the past, we used to have manual systems, which used to take a lot of time. But when you use electronic submission of those documents, then you are able to clear them and process them as quickly as possible. And again, related to that role that I've just mentioned, I think we do understand that we are operating in an environment where we have other players, other government agencies who are also involved in the same role of a trade facilitation across our borders. And if we work separately, or if we don't have the systems working with each other, then as much, even if we try and become very effective and efficient as customs, and we have inefficiencies in the others, then we'll still be affected, given that we are at the beginning of the process and at the end of the process, and we have other players in the middle. So because of that, I think, again, that thirdly, it is important that we adopt and we encourage adoption of the use of electronic single window systems so that we are able to manage the multi-agency requirements, including submission and approval of permits, and the payment of the different charges by all the partner government agencies. And now related to that, now outside the system, it is important that at our points of entry, that customs leads and facilitates joint verifications at the borders. This is in line with the government's multi-agency approach or one government approach, so that instead of having so many stops, so many verifications by the different agencies, we're able to do it at once. Those are just a few of them. We have very many more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mawasi. We appreciate that sharing of very key measures that customs is taking, what customs has put in place to ensure that our traders have smooth flow of trade across the borders, and also as the goods get into the country. And the role of education cannot be downplayed, that we need to ensure that our clients are well educated on matters customs, on matters cargo clearance, so that we move together as a team in ensuring that we have no hiccups at the borders. But I know that we have challenges, and businesses have issues that they would really wish to have customs sorted so that they can have a seamless flow of cargo in and out of the country. So to Mr. Lagat, what are some of the common challenges and bottlenecks that businesses face when dealing with customs during import and export processes? Mr. Lagat.
Thank you, Immaculate. I think from the onset, let's demystify customs first. For a lot of people, customs is basically concerned about collection of revenue. And a lot of times our engagements with customs are basically based on facilitation of the payment of revenue. But there are many issues that we interact with as business community, whether private sector, whether the owners of the cargo or the agents that we use to do business through with customs. One of the biggest issues that we face is valuation, issues around valuation and uplifts. When I talk about valuation and uplifts, customs have a lot of data in terms of what is imported in the country or what is exported out of the country. And this data is used for purposes of evaluations. When you are doing valuation for specific items that we import or export in the country, mostly for importation, there is historical information that is available. For a business person, the less I pay in terms of taxes, the better I am in terms of my business environment. So I'm able to make more profit. So a lot of times, businessmen, business try to, as much as possible to put values that are probably lower than what customs has in their system. So therefore, there are a lot of challenges that have to do with valuations and the uplifts. I do know this affects a lot of the small traders that we deal with, because they also, a lot of them, some of them are first-time importers, so they don't have historical information on that. The other issue that is has emerged majorly is understanding of international shipping terms. We all use Incoterms in terms of international trade. And sometimes customs officers may not understand the terms of that have been used by the shippers, by the agents of the shippers when they are doing their business. And sometimes that back and forth brings in delays as they try to understand what Incoterms were used, what are the terms that were used for international trade. And therefore, that becomes an issue in terms of delays that we face. A major issue that has been there before, and I think now with ICMS, we have seen substantial stability of the system is system downtimes. System downtimes that not only affect customs system, it affects the other systems that are used by our agents to clear cargo. Whenever the system is down, there is a loss of time. A loss of time amounts to a cost that a lot of times we deal with. But there are other issues. A lot of times we also blame customs. But there are issues that are professional in nature that are mainly contributed to by the private sector. Our players, private sector, whether it's the owner of the cargo or the clearing agent whom we use or the transporter whom we use, there are some unprofessional activities that they undertake that becomes a challenge for customs, especially for customs officers who are trying to actually implement the law and regulations. So sometimes some of those unprofessional practices that some of our members and so on, some of our practitioners undertake then becomes an issue. But Shippers Council has been working very closely with customs in terms of engagements. We have structured engagements that actually help us to actually deal with some of these issues that we go through even as we do our business on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lagat, for that elaborate discussion on the challenges that our traders are experiencing in their day-to-day operations, especially on matters import and export. And we are aware, yes, of some of these challenges, and our teams, of course, are on the ground, and we are getting it right from you on how customs can come in and alleviate some of these challenges that our traders are facing. And I'm also happy that you have mentioned that this applies also across on the other side. It is not just to customs, but you also have the traders themselves carrying some of the burden and also making it difficult for customs to do the job. Thank you very much for that very clear, elaborate presentation on these issues. And one thing perhaps you would like to know is in the area of these challenges you have raised that the teams are facing on the ground, how can customs work on them? How can we alleviate this suffering of our traders to make sure that business runs smoothly for the benefit of individual traders and for the country. Mr. Venati.
First of all, I think one is through training. I think training and awareness, both for our agents whom we use to interact with customs, but also for the owners of the cargo. There are many times that we blame everybody else, and that's why I say we take responsibility. There are times that we, as the owners of the cargo, we represent the owners of the cargo. As owners of the cargo, we don't provide the requisite documents that are required by the clearing agent to be able to undertake the clearance of cargo. We don't provide the resources that are required. At the same time, sometimes the clearing agent does not provide sufficient information to the owner of the cargo to be able to ensure that there is seamless clearance of cargo. So there's a lot of training that needs to be done. There's a lot of collaboration that needs to be done between customs and other agencies, because customs is basically a lead agent. But being a lead agent does not leave out the other agencies. The other agencies, whether it's the Port Authority or the Bureau of Standards or any of the other regulators that are involved in the business environment. So we need to have a joint conversation in terms of looking at this, all these issues. And I think this is what we've been able to achieve through the Mombasa Port and Northern Corridor Charter, where we apportioned responsibilities to different regulators and different institutions, and not just for government institutions, not public sector institutions, also private sector institutions. So everybody takes the responsibility. When they understand their responsibilities, then they're able to actually undertake the roles they're supposed to do to ensure that we actually look for efficiency. If we have a common vision, all of us, we have a common vision to make our supply chain and our corridors efficient. That becomes a rallying call for everyone to work towards that direction. And this issue about blaming one institution over another is something that we should actually move away from. What we are supposed to do is provide solutions. The Shippers Council does a lot of advocacy. We do a lot of advocacy. We do a lot of structured engagements with different agencies. If all of us were able to move towards that, so that where we establish gaps, then that is where we provide trainings and awareness. And I think Customs has done an extremely good job in terms of engaging us in a lot of when they're coming up with new regulations, when there are any changes that happen, they actually take time to engage us in some of these things. And it's important for everyone to actually get into that space where we actually talk all as partners, not necessarily as private or public sector, but we all talk as partners on the same front.
Thank you once more, and I agree that a common vision is what we need as the agencies that are involved in cargo clearance, and this is a route we are taking. You bear me witness that we have partnered in a number of sensitizations where a number of the other agencies have been involved. So thank you for that contribution, and over again to our panelist, Mr. Mwawasi. We are talking matters technology, and I know KRA, we have done a lot in this area. So could you just elaborate on the role of technology and on automation in modernizing customs operations and improving trade efficiency? Mr. Mwawasi.
Thank you very much, Immaculate. When you're talking about technology and automation, we're talking about modern customs. And when we're looking at modern customs, automation plays a key role because automation transforms us from the previous manual processing to a computer-assisted way of processing. I will talk about automation first of our processes, and then I will go a bit broader in terms of now adoption of technologies over and above the automation of our processes. So when you're talking about automation of our processes and automation of our documentation, KRA, for example, has taken a very interesting path that we've been doing continual improvements of our automation. I remember sometimes back we were manual, then we went to BOFIN, then from 205 we dealt with Simba, and now we are in ICMS. Exactly what are we trying to do and what are we trying to achieve? One, we're trying to facilitate trade through the normalization of the forms and documents that we have, the Form C17 and all the different forms that we have, so that we are able to standardize our data and simplify our processes. This basically strengthens our operational efficiency, and it enables also the government to be able to achieve accurate and timely statistics by data that is captured through the systems. This also enables us to align our procedures and documents with international standards. You realize that we are playing in an international environment. When you're talking about customs, we're talking about trade within and outside our borders. If we do not align our procedures with the international standards, then we'll be left out in trade, and our importers, our exporters, our manufacturers will not be able to compete fairly across all over the world. So we align with international standards and conventions and also the instruments. Now, when you are using automation, you realize that the information and communication technology that we use it not only us, but also our stakeholders. Our clearing agents were also able to use the same systems. And these systems are able now to provide a number of benefits, including substantial cost savings for our traders. It brings about a sense of predictability, because you realize now an importer can give his documents to clearing agents way in advance, and they are able to lodge their documents in good time, such that by the time the goods arrive here, everything has been done in the system. At the same time, the shipping lines are able to quickly, for planes on wheels up, for the sea cargo, then much earlier, they are able to lodge and submit their manifest so quickly, system to system, such that, again, you don't waste too much time when you're doing that. So it brings the time saving, it brings the issue of predictability, and because of all that, we are able now to have faster clearance of our goods. So we reduce the customs clearance time, and because we are able now to get the information early enough, we're able to do the checks. We're going to do risk assessment. And because of that, now we reduce the requirements of physical examination. And all this is enabled by automation of our processes, automation of our forms. But if I go ahead and broaden this discussion, then we are talking about adoption of technology. We're talking about things to do with non-intrusive verification, like the scanners that we are currently having at our border points, which are again linked with the customs processing system. Again, this enables us now to expedite clearance because decision-making is faster. We're able to see the image and to decide quickly that this thing requires either further verification or not. And as such, we are able to clear goods as quickly as possible. I will again go and look at the issue of what we have, the regional electronic cargo tracking system. In the past, Bwana Gilbert will bear with me, we used to have a system where we have customs officers moving with trucks from the port of Mombasa all the way through all the checkpoints and handing over the documents at the border. And this was done together with the manual we used to call them customs tamper-proof seals. This used to take a lot of time, and it was very costly for both business and customs, because we take a lot of time on the road, and at the same time, there are so many inefficiencies, because you task one customs officer with 20 trucks to escort all the way to the border. Now, adoption of technology, adoption of the cargo tracking system. Initially, we had the electronic cargo tracking system, the vendor-based, and then went to the regional electronic cargo tracking system. We're able now to track that vehicle across Kenya and across Uganda and across all the other countries that have subscribed to the regional electronic cargo tracking system. This reduces the time that we take across the border. At the same time, when this truck arrives on the other side of the border, it also reduces the chances of this truck having to be targeted for verification on the way, because it was tracked all the way, and all these customs administrations are able to access the data that is there. We have many other technological interventions that we have, but for now, I will talk about those ones. Maybe quickly, in relation to the electronic cargo tracking system, I will talk about the issue of e-fuels. That is also related to the regional electronic cargo tracking system, where you have electronic seals attached to petroleum tankers. Yeah, these e-seals not only lock the valve, but they are also able to check other parameters, including the temperature, the volume, and the density of these of the oil products across the board, across the route. Now, what are the benefits of that? Previously, we used to have a lot of instances of dumping of transit cargo within our territory. We've been able to control that to a great extent, because you are able to know, you're able to, just by getting those parameters and looking at the volume corrective factor, you're able to know if there's a change in the quantity of this product along the way. You're able to pinpoint the exact point if there's any dumping, the exact point where the dumping has been done. And because of that, now you don't have to keep on stopping this transporter along the way, trying to look at his documents. Yeah, and this has also protected our clients from other government agencies, because when they see that this thing has already been secured with an electronic cargo seal, then they don't have to keep on stopping them across the route. Those are some of the ways that we've used automation and technology to improve our trade facilitation and to help expedite the movement of cargo across our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mawasi. Indeed, a very, very elaborate tracking of our automation. And I am sure we are not yet there. We still have some way to go, but so far, this is a job well done. And I believe some of our traders will bear witness that automation has been a game changer in customs processes. Now coming back to business, customs is indeed putting in place some measures to improve the processes through automation, as Mr. Mawasi has said, among other measures taken by the department and KRA as a whole. But we feel that the business also has a role to play, a big one too. So what we'd like to know this morning is the measures and best practices that businesses can adopt to expedite clearance of goods through customs and reduce delays in the supply chain. Back to you, Mr. Langat.
Thank you, Margaret. Before I go into the best practices that business can apply, allow me to add my voice on the issue of technology, application of technology into the customs processes. I've been involved in that process for quite a while. When customs were moving from Povint to Simba, is when I actually joined the sector. And I've been involved in every other development in terms of technology that has been applied both by customs and other agencies, whether it's a national single window, Quartos for KPA, KIMS for KEPS, which we are currently implementing. I've been involved in all that. One of the things that why we've been very keen on ensuring that this application of technology happens is because under the charter, we signed off that we would want 75% paperless transactions through our systems. And the reason why we require this is so that we have real-time information, we have feasibility, we have transparency in our systems. And out of that, we can actually be able to have interventions being undertaken earlier. And of course, when we go into full automation of our systems, it means then we can be able to actually track and trace cargo as it goes through our system. So all those documents that we used to have, cancellation of bonds and all the other issues that we used to have a lot of challenges, then becomes a thing of the past. I remember many times a lot of us who had an experience in a long room, there was a whole section where documents were kept and you were not very sure whether you can get your documents. But with a click of a button now, you can be able to get all your documents. Going back to the question on how business can support expediting clearance of cargo. One of the biggest issues, I think one of the biggest engagements that we've been having is application of pre-arrival clearance application processing of cargo. The pre-arrival processing basically means that owners of the cargo or the agents can actually be able to pre-clear their cargo. They have provided the relevant documentation before the cargo leaves. Immediately the cargo leaves the point of loading. And you can go through all that process and pay back payment so that by the time the cargo arrives in the country, you can actually be able to pick your cargo and move. That way, it reduces the amount of time that it takes for cargo to be cleared. Secondly, it reduces the amount of time cargo stays in the port. When cargo stays in the port and delays, then there are payments that we make in terms of storage, in terms of delay, detention charges by shipping lines, of which shippers have been paying substantially. And this is a loss of revenue for businesses that we, of course, those who are involved. We also have, we've been working very closely with KRA Customs in terms of implementing the authorized economic program, economic operator program under the safe framework of standards, just to ensure that customs and the owners of the businesses, there's a convergence in terms of knowing your customer. So when that happens, then there are benefits that are accrued through that. If a lot of our members, a lot of our shippers actually move towards authorized economic operators, then they would have less and less interactions in terms of customs. Most of the time, customs getting into to check the documentation and the products that they are coming in because they are known to customs. But one of the other issues that we've been working through with customs and in terms of training is to ensure that there's proper documentation. When there's proper documentation, then it becomes easier. Seamless transactions happen along so that then it's easier for customers or for shippers to be able to actually get their cargo faster. But also, there is a lot of conversations that have been going on in terms of harmonization of processes. Harmonization of processes does not just involve customs. It involves all the other agencies. And that is why about, I think, 2018 or thereabouts, the government made a ruling about lead agencies, and KPA, Kenya Revenue Authority, Kenya Railways, and Kenya Bureau of Standards were taken in as lead agents. The reason why that happened is because there was need to remove many other agencies that were there that have a role. But we need to have lead agencies so that then we can consolidate our efforts to be able to actually make our systems more and more efficient. But there are also issues around compliance. And I think we've been doing this quite a bit, Shippers Council and Customs and the other regulators. We've been having this conversation about compliance. And the reason why we are doing this is because we did a study on compliance levels. How do shippers and how do agents participate? How are they responding to compliance to regulations that are required to? And we found out that there are a lot of issues around compliance. So there's a split between working towards compliance and facilitation of trade. So a lot of the agencies are looking at their role as a regulator and want the shippers to be compliant. But at the same time, the shipper wants to have their cargo facilitated, the business facilitated. And therefore, that conversation that we've been having is how do we then marry compliance and facilitation so that then that compliance action by regulators then becomes part and parcel of trade facilitation. And I think a lot of this has to do with training. So there is a lot of training that needs to be done, not just by customs, but all the other agencies who are involved in trade facilitation, just to be able to make sure that we are all the same platform in terms of how we undertake our trade facilitation environment.
Wow, that is really something, and I'm glad that you have brought up the issue of pre-arrival processing and the authorized economic operators. For these are the programs that we are working on with the aim of ensuring that all the goods are well cleared processed in advance to ensure that clearance takes place upon arrival. And also to have clients whom we can confidently say that these are compliant people and we can facilitate them because they are our premier clients. I'm also happy that you are talking on matters compliance because that is a major concern of customs. Indeed, we want to process cargo very fast within hours, but it is the role of the agents and the importers to ensure that they comply with the customs laws and regulations. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Lagat on the role of the businesses in ensuring that the cargo clearance process is expedited and it is smooth for all the players. Allow me to acknowledge our YouTube audience. We have KRA teams out there and others who are on watching us on YouTube. We are glad to have you in the show, and we are happy that you are listening to this very interesting conversation. We would also like to say that there is room for questions. You can put them in the chat box and our teams will be able to pick them up and respond as we go along. Thank you, Mr. Lagat, and back again to our colleague, Mr. Mwawasi. We have another interesting conversation on security and trade facilitation. You know, in international business, there are many challenges. And AU, as Mr. Lagat has mentioned, it is for expediting the compliance taxpayers. And the key item on AU is to ensure that there is a security of the supply chain. So now we are talking about trade facilitation, but we're also concerned about security of the supply chain. Shall we be sure that as we facilitate trade, there are no explosives getting sneaked into the country, that there's no money laundering, there are no drugs getting to the country? So we'd like to know, Mr. Mwasi, the measures, again, that customs or governments need to take to strike a balance between security and trade facilitation in their operations. Mr. Mwawasi, kindly take us through this area of security and trade facilitation.
Thank you, Immaculate. Before we go to that, I want to appreciate the contribution of Bwana Gilbert in the just concluded discussion regarding what can be done to ensure that we do well. And it is like Bwana Langat was reading my mind when we were talking about the pre-arrival processing and the issues of AEO. And I want to acknowledge the role that the Shippers Council is taking or is playing when it comes to improvement of the AEO framework, which we are trying to make into a national AEO and have all the partner government agencies on board. And Shippers Council is a big contributor to this process. Moving on to the issues of security. Customs finds itself in a very interesting realm when it comes to international trade. Number one, customs, together with all the other border agencies, are the gatekeepers. We stand at the gates, people are coming in and out, they're carrying their goods, some are having knives, some are having food, some are having medicine, others are having narcotics. Some are having explosives. And we aim and want as much as possible to ensure that we've facilitated trade, that there is very fast movement of goods across the border. But at the same time, we are alive to the fact that one of our roles is security. And in terms of security, we're talking about food security. We're talking about security in terms of stoppage of arms and ammunition from coming into the country. We're talking about the health of our citizens in this country. Now, Bwana Langat ako kwa border na mizigo yake. I would want to believe that he's compliant, as you were saying earlier. But at the same time, I really want to ensure that I do not allow him to bring in any of the things that are going to endanger the lives of our citizens, and also even the lives of all those border agencies and even the trader himself. So what do we do? Because we must ensure that there's trade facilitation. We must ensure that goods are moving quickly as possible. But at the same time, we must, and this is a big must, play that role of security to ensure that we protect our people. How do we strike this balance? Customs has always been asking themselves, and most customs administrations across the world are always asking themselves, do they stop goods? Do they adopt the strategy of stop until you're told to go, which will result in a lot of time being taken at the borders and interfere with trade facilitation? Or do you take the other approach of go until you're told to stop? We try to strike a balance, but we lean towards the go until you're told to stop. And that is why number one, we try to drive compliance by ensuring that we do the pre-arrival processing to ensure that we are able to do risk checks way before the goods arrive. We've adopted a risk-based approach to decision-making in KRA, where we look at the risks, we try to predict the risks as much as possible. But on top of that, related to, again, the earlier discussion of the security of the supply chain, we want as much as possible to enroll as many people into the AEO framework so that we have more people who are compliant, so that we just have a very few people to check. That being said, we still have a number of mechanisms to use to try as much as possible to ensure that we have adequate security at our borders and within our borders as gatekeepers whom we are. One of them is the adoption of technology, including what I was mentioning earlier in terms of non-intrusive verification of cargo. Because using that cargo scanner, and we are planning to go to 3D cargo scanners in the future, we'll be able to see what is inside there. That helps us make that decision quickly, identify the risk which is inside that container, and if there is no risk, make that decision to clear those goods as quickly as possible. So by that, we are able to identify what is to stop and what is to go. So this becomes like a joining of those two approaches, but in a way that we achieve both trade facilitation and also ensure security. The other way we're using is the use of K9 officers. Yeah, we have K9 units. You look at our JKI, our air border, our key air border, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Also at the port of Mombasa, across our land borders, we have well-trained officers. We have well-trained K9s, and we also use the services of the police, who also have their own trained K9. And we're able to use them to detect narcotics. We detect explosives. We detect small arms. And this is used together with the earlier mentioned technology of non-intrusive cargo scanning. And we've been able to intercept a lot of goods that would otherwise have harmed our residents here in Kenya by just the use of that. We've intercepted a lot of narcotics at our borders, and that has helped us to be able. We've also been able to intercept precursors, those things that are used to manufacture explosives. Yeah. And then the other thing that we do at our borders is to ensure that we enforce the restrictions and prohibitions. When you're talking about small arms, for example, there are people who are licensed to carry those small arms. So those ones we allow, but the others will not allow. And then we've adopted the use of the multi-agency approach. We do realize that each agency has its strengths. Each agency has its strong focus somewhere. So at our borders, at our points of entry, we work together with the security forces, for example, the police. We have the DCI sharing information with us. And sometimes you are able, even before we come to the issue of scanning, we're able to isolate some of the suspect consignments so that we don't interfere with the movement of the other consignments. Then we are having partnerships with international organizations and also with other countries. For example, we're working closely with Interpol. Interpol gives us a lot of information, which we are able to act upon. So we target that specific consignment because of that information that we have received. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we have the issue of that risk-based approach to decision-making. We identify this one as the risky one, we select that one, the others allow them to go. So trade facilitation is handled. At the same time, we still ensure that security is considered and the measures applied. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Bwana Mawasi. That, ladies and gentlemen, is in a nutshell a presentation on the role of customs as protector at the borders and protector of the society. And as it has been well presented, it is in collaboration with the other agencies that customs can be able to ensure that our borders are secure, and that as we facilitate trade, we are also ensuring that security is maintained. And this is from the government outlook. So we would also like to know how the private sector or the businesses can help the government here, or can help us to ensure that there is security and at the same time trade facilitation. So Mr. Lagat, kindly take us through the role that the private sector can play in ensuring that there is security in trade facilitation.
Thank you. I think the first role that the private sector needs to know is in terms of ensuring that there's security, is to ensure that whatever they bring in Because the private sector is the one that does the business. The private sector is the one that brings in these cargoes into the country. One is they must know what is acceptable, what is acceptable into the country. And I think this information is available. It's we've talked about technology, so either through the ICMS system or through the national single window, you can actually know what are prohibited items that are prohibited coming into the country. But at the same time, we as private sector must play our role. We want to protect our country, we want to protect our citizens, and that is why government agencies work towards the same purpose. When you look at agencies in government, for example, Kenya Bureau of Standards with the PVOC, verification of conformity, and the snail inspection that they undertake for goods is because of security reasons. Why they do that? There are issues around security. Security is not just about the lives of the people. Security is also about the health and safety of the people in terms of what they consume. So the consumption, whatever we consume, also is partly. Secondly, of course, the things that are allowed into the country. So we must know what is required, what are the requirements, what are the regulations that govern a lot of these things that we are bringing in. But also, we must be able to play our role. Whenever we find we have information, we should be able to submit this information to the relevant institutions. Let's not try and look for shortcuts. Let's not try and look for gaps that exist. Of course, we have systems, we have porous. Some of our border stations are a bit porous, so we need to ensure that we also play our role as private sector to secure some of those areas. But the biggest of all is being part and parcel of the risk management framework that the Revenue Authority and, of course, the other agencies are actually implementing. Risk management is not just about regulation, regulators. It's also about us as private sector, that we need to participate in that. And that is why when we talked about preferential treatment for AEOs, it's not just about ability to be able to pay customs duties faster. It's also being known that you are actually a trusted customer, that they know what you bring in, they know the sources that you are bringing in those cargoes from, and you are actually participating in terms of ensuring that health and safety of Kenyans, the security of Kenyans, and of course the region, because we are a frontline organized country, so we have a maritime border, so we are actually serving several other countries. 6 countries into the hinterland. And whatever happens within the country, the controls that we put in place in the country affect directly what happens in the countries that are surrounding our neighboring countries.
Thank you for sharing that very critical information on the part of business. And as we get close to the end of the conversation, I'll be asking 1 or 2 questions. But most important is our small and medium-sized enterprises. This is a category of traders who often have challenges in accessing custom systems and even in understanding the requirements that they need to know before they do their import-export business. So Mr. Mawasi would like to know how the small and medium-sized enterprises can navigate customs procedures more effectively and also enable them to trade given their limited resources and expertise.
Thank you very much, Immaculate. First of all, I'll speak generally. The improvement of our processes in terms of automation is meant to aid each and every player, all importers, so that we simplify the processes and we make it as easy as possible for our traders to do business across the borders. This is an ongoing conversation and initiative, which we cannot see an end to it, because we'll continue, in line with our aspirations as customs, to improve our processes so that we make it as easy as possible for all traders to access and do business. That being said, under the East African community, I think we've been able to provide for a way that makes it quite easy for the small and medium scale enterprises to do business across our borders. I'm talking about the simplified trade regime, which we allow traders within the East African community to easily access and participate in the markets within East Africa. How do we go about this? One, we've simplified the processes for them so that as long as they are trading in goods which originate from the East African community and are worth below 2,000 USD, then they are able to go to a customs officer at the border station with just their goods and their transaction documents, and the customs officer is able to do the direct assessment and do the customs documentation for them. They do not have to go through that long channel of having to go through clearing agents, pay fees with the clearing agents for them to be able to be facilitated to trade across the border. That being said, they also have access to facilities that their bigger counterparts do not get in relation to certificates of origin. We do realize that in Kenya, to get a certificate of origin, we need to do so many checks on the companies that are being given that certificate of origin. They have to apply, pay. We send our officers there to inspect. And time after time, we still do verification exercises. But for our traders, our small-scale traders who do business across our borders in the East African community, with their goods again, and just those transaction documents, the invoices or the receipts, even if they don't have, if it is just a farmer carrying his tomatoes, from Litoktok, Kimana there, and going to sell them across the border, or carrying his omena, in Tanzania they call it dagaa, from Sirari in Tanzania, across the border through Isibania to the Migori County, maybe, or even all the way to Nairobi. They're able to just present themselves to the customs authorities at the border, and the customs authorities will issue what we call a simplified certificate of origin at the border without having to go through the hassles. As long as their goods originate from the East African community and they are worth 2,000 USD and below. What will this simplified certificate of origin enable them to achieve at the border? Number one, they will not pay import duties in any of the East African community countries if their goods have been found to be originating from the East African community. But two, in Kenya, they will not pay other taxes, including the import declaration fee and the railway development levy. And this is done immediately, at the border without any delays, and the service is free. You get the simplified certificate of origin free, and the assessment is done free. You'll only pay excise duty and VAT if they apply to your goods. And by this, you'll see, when you look at our trade statistics across the border, where most of our goods which are traded by the small-scale traders across the border are agricultural goods, then most of them do not pay anything. across our borders. Maybe the only agricultural goods are traded by those guys across the borders, which might be attracting some taxes, and maybe just for goods accessing Kenya, maybe just the eggs and the onions, because there was excise duty that was put on them. But you see somebody bringing in carrots, and we have a lot of carrots going to Uganda from Narok. Not buy anything in Uganda just because they've gotten that simplified certificate of origin. So for us, we are just getting statistics from them. And we are still looking at ways to improve that. Currently, there's a conversation within the East African community among the members who relook at the simplified trade regime and see how best can we improve it even further. So we've brought in, because we looked at the simplified trade regime and we looked at it, it was just customs centric. Now we've brought in the other players. We have the players like KEBS. Yeah, we have players like KEFIS who have been brought in so that we are able to have this discussion and see how can they also be helped on the other side with our partner government agencies. Because it will not help much if we help them on the side of customs, but at the same time, they're still having some key major requirements, yeah, regarding documentation to do with the quality. Not that they will not be subjected to quality standards, they will still be, but we're looking at how we can simplify that. And that is a discussion that is ongoing, and customs is playing a key role in this discussion. Thank you very much.
Appreciated, Mr. Mawasi. And to add to that, I would like to say that customs is also undertaking intensive sensitizations of the small and medium enterprises, mainly across the borders. And to date, actually, just this financial year, we have been able to do a lot of sensitizations in Namanga, in Loitoktok, Busia, Malaba, and the trainings are still ongoing. We would want to ensure that our people are aware, they know the requirements, and that makes trade for them much simpler, because information is what will open the gates for many of the traders. They have the goods, but they don't know how to carry them across. So we are available for that training. And of course, Mr. Mawasi's team at TPS training is busy doing the job for customs. And any of our clients out there who may want to get the training, they can easily write to TPS training at kra.go.ke, and customs will be able to organize that training for our clients out there. Now, time is far gone, but I would like to give Mr. Lagat just 1 minute to tell us how the public perceives customs out there, and how we can also enhance partnership between customs and business so that we work together as a team and not disjointed parties. Over to you, Mr. Lagat.
Thank you, Immaculate. Allow me to walk a short journey about with customs. I think the customs of yesterday was, I would say they were, there's this saying that sometimes we shoot and aim. That was customs of before. But from our experience as Shippers Council and even as individuals, the customs of today is actually very focused on trade facilitation. We've been engaging customs a lot in terms of trade facilitation activities, and they have actually come out as a lead agent in trade facilitation. Their concern is not collection of revenue only. Their concern is actually facilitating trade. And one of the things that we've really seen, even as Shippers Council, is the ability to be able to train. They are actually available for engagements. They are available to join us in some of the conversations that we have across the border points, across when we invite them for our events to join us, they come very strongly. They have been very, very strong in the Mombasa Port and Northern Corridor Charter, and I want to thank Immaculate and her team. I think we've felt your presence. Customs is only department of all the implementers of the charter who have actually taken the public, taken their stakeholders through their commitments in the charter. And I think these are things that everybody should learn from customs. When a lot of us, before we used to see customs officers and we would take off. Now we actually engage customs officers. When you have a challenge, customs are reaching out to us to be able to talk to us. So I think the experience that we have with customs at the moment is very pleasant. And I want this to reach the Commissioner of Customs and the Commissioner General, that we have continuously enjoyed services from customs. We've enjoyed our conversations, our stakeholder engagements, our structured engagements, and we're actually looking for solutions, continuous solutions. Customs are not just coming in with solutions for some of the issues that we face, but we actually engage to be able to get the private sector and the business community contributing to solutions that we are looking for. So I think going forward, if customs continues in the same path, a lot of things will actually be able to change and become more and more impactful to the business community.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations to the customs team. We are having a very productive engagements and pleasant experiences at the moment.
We really appreciate your feedback, Mr. Lagat. It is important to know what the business is thinking on the ground and what we can do to improve our relationship so that we can work together, not just for collection of taxes, but ensuring that our business people are very well facilitated. Thank you very much, and also for availing yourself in this conversation. This is the kind of talks we would like to have with the business so that we can improve on our part and also get to hear what the government, the business is doing to improve on their part. So this is the first conversation we are having in this line. We'll be inviting you more, plus your colleagues in the private sector, to discuss with us and also to improve tax collection and improve trade facilitation. Thank you very much also for all the listeners who have been with us here. Those who logged in on YouTube, those who are with us in the Zoom, we are really grateful that you are able to work with us from the beginning of this conversation up to this time. And I would like to believe that we have been able to speak to some of you to get the information on what is happening on the ground. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hand over our meeting to Madam Martha from Marketing and Communication so that she can guide us on any of the questions that may have been brought forward, and also give the chance to our members maybe to give their comments or questions so that we can know how we are moving and how to move ahead. Thank you very much. On behalf of Customs, we are indeed very grateful. Asante sana.
Once again, it's a big pleasure. Madam Immaculate from the Profiling and Targeting section from the Risk Management Division, as well as our able panelists and also our clients and customers who have also been able to join us, including our sign language interpreter. I think she was following through, but her camera was not on earlier. But I think since this has been recorded, we will get to share it on our online platform. This will be shared on KRA TV YouTube page. So maybe let's just, as we conclude, because let me see, I think we have a question. Okay, this is actually an insight. Thank you. This is highly enlightening. That is from Rita Susan. We acknowledge this. And maybe just for closing remarks, allow me to invite once again Mr. Lagat and Mr. Mawasi. Mr. Lagat, you could go first for some closing remarks, then we can call this session, can bring it to a close.
Thank you. I think for me, and on behalf of the private sector, and on behalf of the Mombasa Port and Northern Corridor community charter stakeholders, these conversations should not just be one-off when we are celebrating Taxpayers Month. I think we should continue with these conversations. There's a lot of information that sits with the private sector practitioners. And there's information that we can be able to share. But it's also good to actually have this conversation so that we can complement where there has been good work that has been done. And we can also critique and provide solutions where we feel that there's pain. And all this is done to ensure that all of us participate in trade facilitation. We want to grow our country. We want to grow our exports. We want to grow our economy. We want to make business people enjoy the facilities that are provided for in the country to be able to actually do business. So these engagements are actually encouraged for all of us. But from the Shippers Council, I think we want to thank Customs, KRA and Customs at large for the partnership that they have been having with us. We've had very progressive engagements. They have been, when we call upon them, they are available, and they are one of those institutions that we are very proud of to actually respond to when they call upon us to have engagements with them. So we are very grateful, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gilbert Lagat. In fact, this is just the beginning, just as Madam Immaculate has stipulated, and we are looking forward to having more and more engagements in the near future. So we'll be calling upon you in another time for this engagement. So thank you so much. And allow me to also just give Mr. Mawasi a minute or two to give us some closing remarks. Over to you, Mr. Mawasi.
Thank you very much, Martha. Customs and business are joined at the hip. Our success is only achievable by helping business to achieve their own objectives, their own successes. So this is a journey, as you've put it, that we have to work together. And at this point, I would really like to appreciate the Shippers Council, plus the others of our stakeholders, because they've been able to give us very good feedback as we go along. We've been having engagements, and we've been coming up with issue matrices with the issues that we raise, and all this is used to make decisions within customs, and sometimes even broader within KRA, so that we are able to come up with programs that are looking at the needs and expectations of our stakeholders and to serve their needs. The Shippers Council has been doing a number of studies which they have been sharing with us and which have been helping us in improving our processes, and they've also been inviting us in their meetings and their workshops, and we've also been inviting them. So we get a lot of feedback. So I really appreciate the role they've been playing in helping us improve our services. And at this moment, we are at that time that we are working on our 9th corporate plan. Again, we do know and we do expect that the Shippers Council will be one of the key people, one of the key organizations that will be able to give us feedback that will help us plan. Because if we plan without them, if we plan without business, then we'll be planning for ourselves, and yet we are in this position to serve the public, to serve the traders, to serve our manufacturers, to serve our importers, to serve our exporters. So we call upon them when they receive our call to support us the way they've been supporting us, so that we come up with a plan that really serves them and helps this country grow forward. I appreciate their participation, and I appreciate the participation of each and every one of our stakeholders in growing this country. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Thank you, Mr. Mawasi. I think this relationship, indeed, we will have to see how it continues being stronger, and indeed, at the long run, is to ensure that we all have seamless business processes. So thank you once again. I don't know if Madam Immaculate would like to say anything. Maybe I could just give you a minute for a closing remark as well.
Thank you very much, Martha. Actually, Mr. Mawasi and Mr. Lagat have summed it all, that partnership is the way to go. We need to continue working together, and that has been very, very well displayed by the Shippers Council. We've also had it with the KIFWA, and we'd like it to continue with all the other associations, the business associations, to ensure that KRA understands exactly what the business wants, so that as we do our programs, as we work on our operations, we have the businesses in mind. And we are indeed facilitating trade for the businesses and, of course, building the economy of our country. Thank you very much, Martha and team. We appreciate your work.
Thank you, Madam Immaculate. We also appreciate the support. And indeed, we come to a close on this great engagement, and looking forward to many more. Thank you, our online audience. Thank you, our participants for the day. And just to remind us that in case you'd like a recording or just to review what has been on today, this shall be put in on the KRA TV YouTube page, so you can be able to just have a review and even share it out with friends. So let me just close this session also with a word of prayer, and then we can embark on other engagements for the day. Thank you. So our word of prayer, please. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day that you've given us. Thank you for the engagements and the deliberations that we have just had. And indeed, even as this is a beginning of great and further engagements and a relationship that has been established, that Lord, you will go and continue guiding us and giving us even more insights, even as we get to carry our day-to-day activities. So we thank you and we honor you. Thank you for enabling us to have a fruitful engagement. We don't take it for granted, and we pray this shortly, trusting and believing in your holy name. Amen. So we may leave at our own pleasure. Let me wish you all a pleasant afternoon ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Desana.
Thank you very much.